Warning. The Maverick Marketer is not for the soft, timid, or faint-hearted. If you need permission or seek approval from your mother, spouse, mates in the pub, or anyone else for that matter, this really isn't for you. If any of what you've heard puts you off in the slightest, I advise you not to listen any further. You've been warned. Prepare yourself for the no bullshit, zero fluff. Quick, dirty, and uncensored secrets for any serious coach, trainer, consultant, or speaker who wants to earn more money with less work and fewer headaches. Without having to kiss ass or bend over backwards to please anyone. He's a relentless and fearless renegade who will stop at nothing to reveal the harsh, unforgiving, and brutal truth about what it really takes to succeed in this business. He's a guy people love to hate and hate to love. It's your host, Drew Edwards. The Maverick Marketer is Unleashed.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Maverick Marketer Unleashed podcast. This is Drew Edwards here from EliteClientInteraction.com and MaverickMarketerUnleashed.com, and we are of course joined by our co-host Terry. Terry, how are you today?
Absolutely fantastic. Drew, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And our special guest today is Daniel Hall from RealFastResults.com. Daniel, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me, Drew.
Daniel, for anyone listening to this who doesn't know who you are, doesn't know what you do, can you let us know and give us a brief introduction as to who you are and what you do now?
Absolutely. Essentially, I help businesses to get ahead, to get more clients, to get more gigs, to get more speaking bookings, to get more high-level consulting clients. That's what I do. I help entrepreneurs and small business folks to find their to find money, essentially.
Awesome. And how do you do that, Daniel?
A variety of different ways. The first, I would say, requires a shift in one's thinking when it comes to where you are and how you show up in the world. And that is from going from somebody that maybe sees themselves as a business person to really more of somebody that is more marketer. I think that the first lens, the first thing that you need to sort of put on in the morning is your marketer's pants, and then everything else sort of follows after that. So the first step is just the approach that okay, I need to be a marketer, and probably you need to be a marketer first, and then you follow up with of course the goods, because obviously whatever your service, whatever your product that you're selling in the marketplace has to be absolutely superlative. It has to be it has to blow any of your competitors away, and that really kind of loops back to this idea of being a marketer, because as a individual who has or may have a service that's similar to other people's, that you want to be able to very quickly distinguish what makes you different, what makes you unique in the marketplace, and sort of as the other side of that coin is who is your target market, who is the market that you are reaching out to. And then how do you frame your USP or unique selling proposition so that it resonates with that target person, that target, essentially your best client, the folks that you best work with, and the folks that you can achieve the best results with. So that's kind of a long-winded answer to a very short question, but I hope it's responsive.
Yeah, and again, it sort of resonates with me and Terry are both constantly telling clients that, you could be, no matter what you do, you could be the best at what you do, have the best service, the best product, even offer it at the best prices. unless you master marketing, unless you're the best at marketing, like your business is never gonna grow as quickly as you want it to. Marketing is a key to, it's the key to growing the business at any speed.
There's no doubt about that. And the other really interesting thing is that marketing does not. You don't have to be the best. The thing is you do not have to be the best at marketing. But what you do have to do is you need to actually do some. Okay, and chances are, and it's like everything else in life. Some of it sticks and some of it works and some of it doesn't. And what in many cases what separates the wheat from the chaff is those folks that are actually willing to try. Because I could tell you that although we run a 7-figure business, much of what I try in the marketplace fails. Even though we have great success in the long run, it really comes out to a numbers game and trying to do whatever it is you're doing it to the best of your ability. But not everything works out, and you've got to be okay with that. You've got to basically go in knowing that this is a numbers game, and you do the best you can. And if something, and then you're also constantly evaluating your efforts, your marketing efforts, to see whether you're producing any result. So that's another part of it as well. Of course, is just sort of evaluating as you go, as you're actually doing your marketing.
Yeah, you've made a really good point there, I have to say, Daniel, about just being okay with. I think there is this I suppose, myth about you do some marketing and you're going to get excellent results. You do a direct mail campaign, you get an 80% response. Where we know that if you get a 5-6% response, that's a good response, and you should be okay with that. But we certainly find, Drew and I, that the expectations are quite unrealistic, and there's this fear. Well, I only got a 5 or 6% response, and it didn't work. And I say, are you kidding me? That's a good response. Get on with that, and being okay with failure as well. I think it's a really good point that you made there, Daniel.
Yeah, I mean it's basically failing forward, right? Where you want to fail as fast as possible, so you could tweak or get on to the next thing that you're planning on doing, right? So I like quick failures just because it allows me to get on to the successes quicker.
Yeah,
and I think that's a big part of it as well.
Yeah, good point. Daniel, I don't know you that well, and I know a lot of people. You're going to be new to a lot of audience. Tell us something about you that most people who don't know you wouldn't know about you. Not even your closest friends would know these things about you, Daniel.
Well, I'm pretty much an open book, fairly transparent. I think one of the things that a lot of people find kind of interesting is the fact that I have both a law license and law degree, so I could practice law if I wished. And I also have a nursing license. Well, I used to have a nursing license, but I have a nursing degree and just gave up the nursing license. So I've got these dual professional degrees, but I don't do either one of them to actually make my living. And a big part of that is, basically just following my bliss. To go back to Joseph Campbell, right? I followed my bliss into the business that I love, which is essentially digital publishing. So I help a lot of digital publishers and marketers and info product creators and so forth. So that's a bit different, I'd say.
That certainly is. So you studied law and nurse. You can't get much different, surely. What made you sort of select those two? Why they're so different? What happened there?
Oh, they are different disciplines, obviously, but the idea was, and then this goes back to sort of a marketing mindset. When I was looking at going to law school, I sort of looked at the job market for lawyers, and I made the determination based on some studies that were published. I can't remember what magazine that was published in. Maybe it was Forbes or Inc. or one of them. At any rate, this particular study found that although that there was in the United States at the time a glut of lawyers, the lawyers that did really well in the job market were those that had dual professional degrees. So I had to finish my baccalaureate degree, and I knew that I was going to go to law school. So I said, okay, what's the fastest path to a dual degree, and basic or a dual professional degree? And we're talking about things like pharmacy and law, and architecture and law, and accountancy and law. These sorts of couplings of disciplines. And I have an affinity for the sciences, and had worked at Mayo Clinic, so I said, okay, well, I could go to nursing school. That's a professional degree, and that's what I did. I went to nursing school. I finished at the top of my class there. Then I went to Texas Tech University School of Law for law school, and was on law review, and did lots of cool stuff there. And then we did that and I actually practiced law for about 7 or 8 years, and decided that I'm much more collegial and much less confrontational than many of my peers. Although I did very well as a lawyer, the fact is that it was tearing me up, because it's like just this constant strife, this constant adversarial one-upsmanship, and that I was like, I'm not. My life is too short for this kind of shit. And just said, no, I've got to figure out another way to make money, and I did.
Yeah. Awesome. Fair enough. That's fair enough. And your business now, how did you get to where you are now?
Oh my gosh! So there was a time when I first got out of law school that I was pretty broke, and had to support a family, and I got a good job at a law firm, but there wasn't a whole lot of extra money to actually have any or very, very many niceties, but I needed a vacation very badly, and as this sort of my take, I actually get a call from the travel agent that services the law firm, who says to me, hey, I've got a really great cruise deal out of the Caribbean, and I think you should take it if you can find room on your calendar. And it was far enough ahead. I looked at my docket and said, oh, I could do this. So I basically booked this cabin for this Caribbean cruise on the spot, and it wasn't the best cabin. It wasn't the worst cabin either. But I was thinking to myself, after I booked this cruise, wouldn't it be cool if I could trade a talk, sort of a lecture, in exchange for an upgraded cabin on this cruise? So this was my original thought. And now, mind you, I'm not a speaker, and I wasn't a speaker, but I'm also kind of a guy that just does things, right? I just, if I have the idea, I'm like, okay, well, it goes back to that whole failing forward, nothing ventured, nothing gained. And so I went back to the travel agent, and I said, hey, this is what I want to do. And she basically gave the idea a big thumbs down. She'd much rather sell me an upgraded cabin than to help me to sort of work out this idea, at which point I prevailed upon her and persuaded her that maybe she'd want to help me if she wanted to continue at least my business going forward with the travel agency. And she said, oh, okay, I get it. And she said, you need to contact this certain person in this department, and there wasn't like a named person, but basically a position within the cruise lines, and call and ask them if they would do that. So I dutifully did a number of, basically wrote down. I'm pretty good at titles, right? I'm pretty good at like coming up with titles for things. So I came up with about 7 or 8 different titles of talks that I thought I could give. I had it in front of me. I picked up the phone. I called the headquarters of this particular cruise line, and I actually got the exact person I needed on like the first half ring. I mean, it was sort of like destiny or luck. I don't know what it was. I pick up the phone, or she picks up the phone, and I very quickly say, "Hey, my name is Daniel Hall. I'm booked on such and such a cruise on such and such a ship. And I would like to essentially do a talk in exchange for an upgraded cabin. Do you have a moment to chat?" And she was very brusque. I remember that about this. She was very brusque. She didn't really want to talk to me, but she goes, "Well, what do you want to talk about?" This is their first basic in the tone of what she was saying. And so I started reading through my list, and I completed the list, and then there was this long silence. And I thought to myself, I'm about to be shot down. This is not going to go well. She's going to say, buzz off, right? And that's not what she said. She said, "Well, I really like," and then she named the topic. Back in the day, this was probably 2000, and I think it was 2000. Back in the day, it was an eBay related topic. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And she says to me, "Well, I'll tell you what. If you would like to come on the cruise that you're already booked on and give this presentation and treat it as an audition, then we can actually put you on, and we'll have somebody there to, be at the audition, be at the talk. And, if we like what we see, then you can be approved to cruise essentially anywhere you want, anytime you want, all for free." And I kind of did one of these numbers with the telephone. I took the receiver and I sort of stared at this phone like in disbelief of what I had just heard. Right? I was like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" And because I had no idea that this was how things worked. And I said, "Yes, ma'am, I'd be very happy to do that." So that's what I did when we went on this cruise ship, and I did my talk, and I knew that it had went well, because they put me in a teeny tiny little room, and it was overflowing with people. It was like, I don't know, I had 45 or 50 people in a teeny tiny space, and people stuck around after to ask me questions, and apparently the powers that be that were sort of watching me took note of all this. So when I came back to the office that next Tuesday, I believe it was, there was a voicemail on my recorder from this lady that was previously pretty brusque with me, that just gushed. She said, we loved you. Not only did we get great reviews from the passengers, but also from the crew. You are approved to go anytime, anywhere you want to go. Just let me know your dates." And I'm like, holy crap. If I had the presence of mind, I actually would have kept that voicemail. But I listened to it about 15 or 16 more times, right? And so this thus launched me into being a cruise ship speaker. Now, it's a quid pro quo, so you're not getting paid, other than you get to have a cruise for yourself and a traveling companion, and you cruise as a passenger. So you get all the passenger perks, not as a crew member, including the nice cabins and all that stuff. So awesome. I started doing this, right? About 3 times a year, I would take these great cruises, and these cruise lines have basically flown me all over the world, and I've got to see basically the entire globe by doing this. And so I had all these people. They would say, "You're taking another cruise? How in the world are you doing this?" Right? So I would tell them, and of course I would say, I would sort of explain the process, and the next thing they would say is, "Can you help me do it too?" And this happened enough over the ensuing 4 or 5 years that I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, maybe I should, instead of like taking time on the phone to like coach these people for free, maybe I should write it all down in a book. Or it actually started off as as a checklist. That was I thought it was going to be a 2-page checklist. I sat down to write this 2-page checklist, and 143 pages later, I had written this book. that essentially, and I learned in this process how to go about marketing, because I, as a lawyer, I wasn't necessarily a good marketer. I was better than most, but it wasn't my thing, and I learned from this whole process of publishing this book. It's available on Amazon right now. It's called Speak on Cruise Ships: 8 Easy Steps to a Lifetime of Free Luxury Cruises. And and it still sells to this day. And basically that launched me into internet marketing, okay, and digital publishing and publishing of Kindle books and so forth. So eventually I sort of learned that world. I started speaking at speakers events, and I was able to transfer and start making money in that arena, such that I didn't have to practice as much law. I also had real estate holdings and whatnot, so that helped as well, obviously. But that's how I got into sort of the business that I'm in today. I realize that's a very long-winded answer, but kind of an interesting story.
Awesome. It's an amazing story, actually.
That is amazing. Yeah, excellent.
Daniel,
sorry, Drew.
I was going to say, obviously, you mentioned you're in a 7-figure business now. You've had, obviously, a successful journey up to this point. But you've also mentioned that one thing that you like to do and you think is a good habit is to almost fail quickly. So can you sort of tell us about a time where you failed or almost failed? So in your business where things really weren't going to plan, things went really badly. And tell us about that time, what was going on, and then more importantly, what did you do to turn things around?
Oh, well, so here's the other really interesting thing. So when you're trying a lot of things, and by the way, I want to be very clear on this point so people don't get the wrong idea. I will concentrate on one thing at a time. I don't have a lot of, because I am not a good multitasker at all. I could barely do one thing decently, much less 2 or 3 or 4. So one of the things that I do is I will just focus. If I've decided that I want to do, let's say, Facebook advertising, which is, by the way, one of the things that I have failed at. I've not done that. I've not yet dialed that in. But I went full bore into that, and then I evaluated, and I thought, this is not the right time. This is not the right approach for me. Let me back off this and then go in another direction. So it's a constant evaluation, sort of trial and error type of process, and it's also not being afraid to fail. It's just being bold and just having the confidence in yourself that you are at source, right? It's not necessarily what it is you do, but it's the things that spring from your mind that let's call them inspirations. Let's call them gentle inward nudges. And so for a male, I am told I'm highly intuitive. So I sort of learned early to sort of listen for these gentle nudges and follow them and sort of there's a chapter in my book where I'm like, I'm constantly jumping down the rabbit hole and to see what pops up, and so far as if you look at my life and the business that we've created, it's been pretty damned good, actually. And it's actually a fun way to live as well, right? Because you're just like, oh, okay, we could do that, or we could do this, and it's being unafraid in the final analysis.
You're listening to Maverick Marketer Unleashed podcast. For show notes, additional resources, and podcast updates, head over to www.maverickmarketerunleashed.com.
Awesome. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating there. So is there any particular business that you target now, Daniel?
My main market is authors, speakers, coaches, consultants, and to a lesser extent, internet marketers, and that pretty much covers the gamut of those folks that I help.
And what services do you offer? What do you help them do?
So this is another interesting question, and I love this question because the fact of the matter is that I sort of burnt myself out on the service industry practicing law, such that I'm not really interested in taking on clients or doing one-on-one coaching. Yeah. So what I did, and the other thing too with that model. As good as it is that there are only so many hours to sell in a day. I mean, that's the other thing I learned as a lawyer. I don't care what your fee is. It's still you still only have 24 hours in a day to sell. That's it. And whether you're the prime minister or the local ditch digger or whoever you are. You only have that same 24 hours. So I'm thinking to myself, well, the secret of true wealth is leveraging the intellectual property in my mind in such a way that people can buy an unlimited number of that intellectual property, and without taking any more or additional time out of my day. So I learned. And was attracted to the idea of putting together information products and actually getting those out into the marketplace, and that's what I've done. So my brand is Real Fast. So I have a Real Fast book, Real Fast library marketing. I have my podcast, which everyone listening to this should definitely go subscribe to. It's Real Fast Results. .com/iTunes. That'll take you directly to the iTunes store. And I mean that my information products, and even every episode of my podcast, I think information product. So that at the beginning of a particular show, for example, we state whatever the particular promise is for that topic, and then I take guests through each step in order to produce the result, hence Real Fast Results, right? So and that's basically my approach to all of my information products, and one of the reasons why, going back to your question, I don't take clients. I don't take clients because I don't have to take clients.
Brilliant.
Good stuff. And you clearly know your stuff, and you're a great communicator. From a listener's point of view, what's the best piece of advice you've been given from a mentor or coach or someone that you've learned from that you could share with our listeners?
Oh, this is a great question. Great question. And if there's one thing that I'd really like to get across to everyone listening, okay, and it's this. Build your platform. Build your list, in other words. Build your list of raving fans of you. Okay? So, and this is regardless if you're a coach, if you are you want to be an executive in a company. Build a list, build a group, in other words, of raving fans of you, who will essentially carry your torch, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the way we do it, and if you're sort of outside, you're in your own company, we do that with things like the podcast at realfastresults.com, or the sale of our products, and how we interact with folks, in social media and so forth. Inside a company, which, by the way, if you do have people that are looking for employment, I've got two great suggestions you may want to ask me about on that. But the really cool thing with that is that you could still build this group of people around you that just love what you do in your niche, and that can help you, and you help them. I call it basically building a posse, right? Building a posse of people that they help one another, and they're big fans of one another. So that would be my biggest thing is if you're outside, build an email list. If you're inside, build a core group around you that can help you in this position and perhaps help you get into the next one.
What's the importance of that? Why do you suggest doing that?
Okay, well, the thing is that you want to be in a position where if something is good out there, okay, that you get the nod, right? You get the recommendation, and one of the other things too, if you are a in business for yourself, you're a marketer, you're an entrepreneur, or if you're looking to get into some firm, right, as an employee, either way, I believe the one thing that you could do that's so vitally important to actually help build this group, as I was saying, is to write a book.
Yeah.
Write a book, okay? And let's say that from that one sort of platform building tool, because that's what it is, you could do a number of different things with it. You could, let's say, Drew, that I really wanted to work with you, and we didn't otherwise know each other, but I know that you have good stuff and that you could help my community, and I know that I could help your community, right?
Yeah.
But I don't yet know you, but I know your work because of something you've written or some product I might have bought. Maybe I saw you speak, right?
Yeah.
I could, as the author of a book, approach you, Drew, and say, Drew, I would like to interview you for my book. And what's your response likely going to be? And I'll just ask you, I'm writing a book, Drew. I'd love to interview you. I think you could add great value to the book.
Yeah, sure.
Would you be interested in doing that? And your answer is yeah, sure, right?
Yeah.
Now, what's just happened here? This interaction. I've just went to somebody I don't know, that is Drew, and instead of me asking them for something, okay, I've actually made it into a good thing for you. It's actually, if you're smart, a no-brainer for you. You don't even have to think about that. That's just like an instant yes. Why? Because you know that you're going to get some promotion inside that book. Yeah. Right? And maybe some new clients, and certainly more notoriety. Certainly it helps to establish your credibility and expertise. On and on and on. If you're smart, okay, then you're going to instantly know that. Now, the other cool thing here, though, is it also gives me an opportunity as the interviewee, right, or the interviewer, excuse me, to get to know you, and we get to form this relationship, like the relationship you and I are forming right now, Drew, right, from this interaction. Well, then we could build upon that, such that the next time that maybe I have a joint venture opportunity, or maybe the next time I have a speaking gig, that I'm calling you for your expertise in whatever it happens to be, right? And the cool thing is that this absolutely also works from the standpoint of somebody that wants to get hired in a firm, okay? Because you could use that same exact strategy, but go to the person that works within the firm that you want to work with. And again, it's not you going cap in hand, please give me a job. It's not that. It's starting a relationship off right by going to somebody that's in an influential position in the firm that you want to work within. And then you are asking, hey, I'd like to feature you in my book, right? And what are they going to say? The same basic thing. Definitely. It's going to, because why? It helps their career. That's something else. It's another line item in their curriculum vitae, right?
Yeah.
So, and then that actually takes me into, if you want me to sort of carry that out to the next logical step in getting hired at a firm, so that when you go to actually make application to the firm, you shoot the guy or the person that you interviewed an email and say, hey, there's a new job opening within your firm. Do you think I should go for it?
Yeah, I get it.
Got it?
Awesome. Yeah.
So it's sort of like having the advocate on the inside. It's having let's say 50 different letters came in, 50 different resumes came in. It's the ability to have somebody on the inside of that particular firm take your curriculum vitae, your CV, your letter, and put it on top.
Yeah.
Of the list or the pile, right?
Yeah.
You just can't buy that.
No, good point. Yeah.
And Daniel, what about from the point of view of a business owner? If I wanted to use this strategy to get clients, so again, use the example, if you said to me, can I interview you, what would be the next step from there? From
there, what you would do is you would figure out what it is that you would ultimately like to see. What is the intention of the interaction? Okay?
Yeah.
And by the way, not every intention that you set comes true, but you've got to be kind of open for the opportunities that do develop. Okay?
Yeah.
And so the next thing that I would probably do with somebody like you, right, that's a business owner, is I would say, hey, what would be so cool is if I could actually promote you to my community, my group, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in that situation, well, now we're making money together. Okay, maybe a small little promotion, but we're making money together. We just went from holding hands to having our first dinner, right? To use the sort of the dating analogy, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, business relationships are much like a successful romance.
Absolutely.
You've got to nurture the relationship. You've got to keep bringing stuff to the table, right? As do they. That's one of the reasons why this is so collegial, because you profit together, right? So that would be the next step that I would do, probably with somebody like you. Hey, I'd love to promote you. I'd love to get your whatever it is you're selling to my audience, make an offer for my audience, and then say that's goes well and we work well together. Oh, by the way, Drew, I have an offer I think that your community would like.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
What's your response?
Yeah.
Well, you definitely want to keep me. I mean, I'm making you money. So, okay. Yeah, let's do it. Right? It's just an easy no-brainer, but the key is lead with helping them first.
Yeah. Perfect.
Not the other way around.
And what are there any sort of quick strategies that we could, that as a listener, we could implement to start to grow our list, Daniel?
Yes, there absolutely is. Figure out what what your target market wants, okay? And when I say what they want, usually they want some sort of solution that your business provides.
Mm-hmm.
And what you do is you come up with a short ebook, or maybe an audio recording, or maybe even a video that addresses that concern, that helps them take a step in the direction of solving that problem. Right?
Yeah.
And then you set that up behind a squeeze page where people, in order to get that solution, they have to give you their name and email address. And now that they are on your list, right? And by the way, there is no excuse for people to not have an email list. Super important. Even if you're an employee, in my opinion, there's no reason why you shouldn't, because you can do it for free. I mean, there's sites like MailChimp that will allow you to have, I believe, 500 names for free. And by the way, 500 good names could easily be a 7-figure business. Just 500 people, easy. Okay.
Yeah. Excellent.
Awesome.
So put together an offer. Is the short.
Yeah.
Perfect.
A free offer.
And Daniel, how do you grow your business currently? What do you do to market your services?
So I do lots of joint ventures. That's probably the most the main thing. Although the podcast is starting to bring in more and more people at realfastresults.com. Because again, we're very unique in how we approach podcast and how we approach programming of those podcasts, such that if you're interested in whatever the subject matter is of that particular podcast, if you go to and you are invited to go and subscribe to my podcast, that you're going to get value. Right, you're going to get exactly what was promised and probably a little more from the 20 or 30 minute interview that we put together. So, and we've been climbing up the charts in iTunes. So we're definitely finding more and more of an audience. So that's another way that I do it.
Perfect, awesome. And what's been in your business? What's been the biggest breakthrough you've had over the past 12 months?
Oh, this is a good question. I have not even thought about this. Interesting. The biggest breakthrough I've had in the last 12 months. Well, I mean, I just sorry to go back to the podcast, but I just launched it like 2.5 months ago. It was the very beginning of June that I launched the realfastresults.com podcast. So that would have to be it, I would have to say.
Awesome.
Good stuff. Great stuff. So you've shared some great strategies there to grow, to use your term, to build your posse.
Yep, to build your posse.
I absolutely love that. I'm gonna use that again. Who's been the biggest influence on your business journey, Daniel?
The biggest influence, doggone. I've had so many mentors and friends that, you know, here's an interesting thing that's sort of happened. People that, when I first started out in this business back in 2005, I think it was, I am just recalling, I paid them, right? I had them coach me and do these sorts of things, but they ended up being my joint venture partners, right? Now my partners, and so there's so many folks. I mean, I could tell you some great books that have helped me in that way, like Robert Cialdini's book, "Influence: The Psychology of Persuasion."
Yeah, yeah.
That is, you know, I try to read that several times a year. There's also from a financial standpoint, I adore the book "Richest Man in Babylon." From George S. Clason. That's a oldie but goodie. And specific people that have influenced me. Doggone, there's just been so many of them. I mean, you know, Tom Antion, Tony Leidig, who else? There not a whole lot of them are coming into my mind right now, truthfully. Yeah. But I do business with just about all of them. So, yeah. Fun. I mean, Armin Warren, you know, just the list. I mean, I interviewed Jack Canfield on my show. He's been great. I interviewed another good friend of mine, Dan Hollings, who is the sort of the mastermind behind the marketing of that movie, The Secret. I mean, with under Dan's direct control, the movie actually ended up making about $300 million. Dan's a good friend of mine. He's been on my show a couple times. I mean, you could, if you, I guess for a complete list, if you go to the podcast directory, because I interviewed them all, or I'm in the process of interviewing them all, but most of the big ones I've already interviewed. They're already over there.
Right. Just going back to something you said earlier, and I just want to go back to speaking about. You said for anybody looking for employment opportunities, and what you didn't say anymore. What were you referring to there, Daniel?
Oh, just if you are, a person that doesn't want to be an entrepreneur, you'd rather be a.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay. My apologies. But yeah, I kind of read that the wrong way. Fantastic, Daniel. There's been some real gems here. I mean, it's just been. There's been so much. Some things you've shared with us. The very fact that marketing is the lifeblood of any successful business. I thought that was so true. And the fact that you went from cruise ship speaker to having this 7-figure business now, I think is absolutely awesome. Really appreciate the fact you shared with us some real quick methods for growing a list, and then sharing some of the influences and some great books there. Cialdini, Richest Man in Babylon, and so on. I mean, there's some absolute gems here. For people listening to this right now, Daniel. Where can people find out more about you or connect with you on a personal basis?
Yeah, thank you for asking. The best place is at realfastresults.com. That's you can sort of get it's a very low risk proposition, because you can go to iTunes and subscribe to the Real Fast Results podcast and just listen to how I approach things and how I put things together. And if something rings a bell for you, and there are something that you want to take advantage of, you'll definitely hear it. There's also, if you also go to realfastresults.com, there is you're going to love this one. This is another thing you should be doing. That if you go to realfastresults.com, then one of the very first things that you see sort of pop up on the page is an offer for 8 free video tutorials, and they're business building tutorials. One of which is just a brilliant approach that teaches folks exactly how to take the blog that they already have and actually publish that blog on Amazon Kindle, okay, in the Kindle marketplace, and turn it into a mini, I call it a micro mini membership site, because that's essentially what you do with that.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, so that's available for free at realfastresults.com, and 8 others. I mean, there's a bunch of other video tutorials, just really pure content. I'm a big believer in content, as you could probably tell. I like to give people lots and lots and lots of content, and not only content, but immediately usable, implementable content. And another example is we show folks how to set up a membership site for free. I mean, and really a high functioning membership site for 100% free. Okay, so there's another using the back office of their hosting account. So there's a tutorial on how to go about doing that, and a bunch of other really great stuff in there. And again, you can get a hold of that at realfastresults.com. I believe it pops up as soon as you hit the page. It'll give you an option to get 8 free videos, and these are some of them. They're basically video tutorials.
Yeah, that's very generous of you, Daniel. Thank you very much indeed. That really is appreciated. Thank you.
That's realfastresults.com. So again, if you want to get those videos, And also check out Daniel's podcast. Head over to there now. Again, Daniel, thanks for coming on the show. Again, Terry's already mentioned you shared some absolute gems with us, and yeah, really appreciate you taking your time out to speak with us and our audience.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate this opportunity.
Great stuff. If you've enjoyed the show, make sure you subscribe via iTunes. And for show notes, additional resources and podcast updates, head over to maverickmarketerunleashed.com. That's maverickmarketerunleashed.com. And again, Terry, thanks for your input as well.
It was a pleasure. Thank you very much for asking me along. And Daniel, thank you very much indeed.
My pleasure.